Welcome to In Confidence, where what we share in confidence helps us grow in confidence. When we started In Confidence, we wanted to create more than just a podcast. We wanted to create a space for real conversations, one that help us feel seen, remind us we're not alone, and spark something brave inside of us. I'm very excited because this is the end of our first season, our very first season. And 17 episodes later, we've explored confidence from so many angles: leadership, reinvention, joy, setbacks, identity, friendship, and more. As we wrap up this first season, we're revisiting some of the moments that sparked the biggest conversations, the deepest reflection, and the most unexpected breakthroughs. You'll hear ideas that pushed us, myself personally, questions that have stayed with us, and insights that we keep coming back to. Because confidence isn't a destination, it's a daily choice and practice. First up, we're going to share some clips from the episodes that come from our best-selling book, Gravitas, the 8 Strengths That Redefine Confidence. These highlight moments are all about core lessons to stepping into your own power, whether it's telling your life story like it's your leadership story, what confidence really means, what to do when you've been labeled bossy, and how to step into your power with your own superpowers. These are the clips that I think stayed with us. When we talk about your life stories, your leadership story, so much of how we frame our narrative for other people is going to come from us pulling out those stories and having them on call or sharing them. And when we build connection on stories, shared values, not only do we get seen, valued, and heard differently, but we start to see it in other people. And I want you to take a moment and reflect on, are you shortchanging yourself? Do you think you're less than everyone? Do you only focus on your weaknesses or the negative things in your life? And if you're stuck in that headspace, you're going to say sorry. Oh my gosh, sorry I'm late. Or, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I didn't do that. Or you trip up on your words. Sorry, I didn't say that right. You all of a sudden just, it's a default. It's a crutch. Because you're like, it must be my fault. So give yourself some grace. We all say sorry as a default. You got to change your mindset. And that's the second thing, is if you start every day thinking the best of yourself, and if you believe that, then you're going to be able to replace the word sorry. And not all of us can do that. So sometimes I always say words are powerful. So let the words lead you. So if you replace the word sorry with some other words and you start to practice that, that starts to change the chemistry in your brain. You start to believe those things. You start to believe, you know what? It's not my fault. I'm not going to apologize for that because I didn't do anything wrong. If you just switch the word out, all of a sudden you take your power back. Subconsciously, your brain will start to train itself to pick itself out of that shrinking effect or that deficit mindset. So much of the time, we're looking at the summit that we don't turn back around to see how much ground we've covered. And it's really important that we honor these really peak performance moments in our life, and we hold on to them when we have to do something stressful or we have to get over a setback or disappointment, and we have to tap into that power. And when you use breath to do that, you actually let it come into your body in a very positive way. If any of you are familiar with icebergs, only 10% of the iceberg is visible above the waterline. It's behavior. It's what I can see. 90% of the iceberg is below the waterline. It's thoughts, values, feelings, wants, and needs. So much of the time when we're told to be more confident, what do? We speak up, we get assertive, we stand up straight, we get on a stage. That's only the 10%, the behavior we can see. If you look up the word confidence in the dictionary, it has nothing to do with bravado, swagger, or performance. It's an understanding of, appreciation of, and trust in your own abilities. It's that 90% below the waterline in that iceberg. It's a mindset before it becomes a behavior. We actually have to take a moment and recognize that there are very different profiles and styles of leadership, that we're not one size fits all. And we have to nurture space for other profiles of leadership to succeed. So as I said earlier, introverts loved working from home. What did they love about it? And we can't just make the return to office an extrovert's paradise. And I think one way to do this is to have everyone take a leadership assessment. It could be Myers-Briggs, it could be Clifton Strengths, it could be our quiz, myconfidencelanguage.com, and say, hey, as part of this return to office, I want us all to get to know each other again. And what you might find as folks are sharing the results is, oh, okay, that person has a more introverted or quieter leadership style. I'm going to create space for them throughout the day where they can go and re-energize themselves and think about the problem, or create more moments where, okay, these folks love to problem solve in person together. So these are the folks that I want to pull into a problem solving session. But I think we have to start off by saying, if introverts were happy during the pandemic because they didn't have to do that water cooler talk of belonging, well, now I have to recognize that it can't just be return to office and we're going back to normal around everyone talking over each other and having all these in-person moments. I've got to create space and honor the different ways in which people want to contribute, learn, lead, communicate. Our inner critics hold us back. We have an umbrella concept called fear or doubt or insecurity. But when we give it dimension, when we name exactly what's driving it, we're able to take away its power. So for me, I sometimes feel satisfaction conundrum because no matter what, you're scrolling through your social media feed, everyone's doing incredible things. They're on vacation when you're working, they are getting awards, they're getting accomplishments, they've raised a round, they've got a promotion. And the immediate thing that I think all of us feel is envy, comparison, and we judge ourselves against other people's milestones. If you've ever been labeled bossy, cold, or intimidating, this episode is for you. Women must be seen as warm in order to capitalize on their competence and be seen as confident and influential, whether they are warm or not. That's the standard we're up against. So this triple standard is quite difficult because if we only have 2 out of the 3, we get labeled. We could be competent and warm, but not confident. And all of a sudden we're labeled as not worthy of notice. Or if we're labeled as competent and confident, but not warm, we're labeled as bossy. You don't have to be the most outgoing person to make a lasting impression. In fact, you can be the most interesting person who's engaging others one-on-one. It doesn't have to be in a group setting. Small talk isn't about filling the silence. It's about creating connection. So ask passionately curious questions, engage in activities, find a way to stay connected in the follow-up. When you lead with curiosity, warmth, and gravitas, you turn a passing moment into a meaningful one. One of my favorite moments from this season is with my dear friend Vicky Nguyen from NBC News, now also a New York Times bestselling author of her memoir, Boat Baby. And here's Vicky on appreciating everyday moments.
The best parts of life are the everyday, simple parts of life.
Absolutely.
We're sometimes looking at like, oh, that big accomplishment, that big award, that big deal, whatever it is. But most of your life is made up of the moments that you spend with the people who are close to you, and recognizing like, I got to give Lisa a hug today and look her in the eye and have a meaningful conversation with her. That's what a gift that is for me today.
Jenny Nguyen, the founder and CEO of the Sports Bra, shared with us about the staying power of community. What I think gels people is community. And so when you were talking about the Sports Bra, yes, it's an operating model, it's a restaurant, it's all these things. But I like the second point you made is when you have places of community, and I will be at your pop-up next year or this year, whenever it is, I will be there this summer. I think that is what gives that momentum, that extra boost, right? Is when you can sit next to someone, you still have the same jersey on, I'm wearing that seafoam green, and we're talking about Big Ellie and her latest routine. That for me has staying power, which we have not had. We haven't had capital, media streaming rights, and now a community. So it feels lasting for the first time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And women's sports has gotten this far with very little. And so now if we start to see things pour in, I don't think people can even imagine what the future holds for women's sports. I really see a dramatic trajectory that is a cultural shift, not just in women's sports, but in sports in general.
My dear friend, Dr. Wendy Borlabi, a performance psychologist, here's her on changing your perspective.
And the thing I want you to think about perspective, it's a win-win, right? Most things are win-win. Because if you ask somebody out and they tell you no, you didn't lose, because you can't lose something you didn't have to begin with.
Okay, that just blew my mind. Yes.
Right.
So I think that applies just in life, right? Which is why wouldn't I throw my hat in the ring in it? Because if they say no, I didn't have the job anyways, but I might as well try.
It's a win-win. Literally, most things are win-win. You just have to find what the other win is. But we always think win-loss, and I'm like, it's not. You didn't have it, so you didn't lose it. You can, if you want to do win-L, put another L in there. That I like to say win-learn. What did you learn from the situation?
I love that. I always, one of my taglines is there are no regrets, only learnings. Broadway director Shele Williams came into our studio, and here's her on trusting what's meant for you.
I got a really incredible advice a couple years ago. Taraji P. Henson is the most incredible human and a friend. And she said to me, I was feeling particularly down about something. And she said, Shele, there's never a job that anyone else has gotten that belonged to me.
Ooh.
And I have never had a job that it belonged to somebody else. She said, when you think about your life and your career, when somebody else gets something, you celebrate them. That was for them. That was their job. That was their opportunity. That wasn't something they took from you. That was something they were meant to have. And I tell you what, that hit me to my core. It literally keeps me from being jealous. When I see someone else get something, I'm like, good for them. That is for them. That is good for them.
Here's Ada Tseng on a fun, risk-free way to practice the performing superpower. Do you think karaoke is good practice for getting over stage fright?
Yeah, I was thinking about that recently because since I was a kid, I'm better at it now because I've practiced. I bet karaoke has something to do with it, but I always had stage fright as a kid. I was the kid who would go up in front of the classroom and start shaking. Excuse me. And even now I have to sort of talk myself into it, but I think there is something about karaoke where, first of all, just on a very practical level, you learn how to hold a mic. You also learn it's like practice, right? I think unless you're a brilliant singer, which, some people who love karaoke are brilliant singers, but a lot of us are just sort of um you know, we just do it for fun. We just sing the songs we like, and then we practice, so we're not embarrassed, because because that's the thing. We all know there's songs that we love, but they're not all good karaoke songs, or in two ways. One way is that maybe they repeat too much, or it's just really really hard to sing, so it'll make you nervous. Or the other one is sort of how well do you know the lyrics? Because there's songs that you hear on the radio all the time and you sing and you're just like, oh yeah, I know that song. I know that song. And then once you start singing, you're like, oh, I do not know that song. You know what I mean? So I think something about preparing for karaoke, doing karaoke, I do think it's kind of like a fun step to get you a little bit more comfortable, to get up in front of a crowd and give a speech.
I think it's fun. It's risk-free. There's nothing at stake. And it's really good practice. Like anything in life, the more you rehearse, the better you are at something.
Yes.
My dear friend, Lindsay Shookus, here's her take on normalizing wobbliness.
Normalize wobbliness. I use the word wobbly a lot. I am happy. I am really happy. I am finding joy. I still have wobbly days. It's not it's you know what? One of my friends said, we have to normalize the fact that life is not up and to the right. It's not a perfect straight line and everything goes great. It's no, it is all over the map. And even if it's it's not down on the ground wobbliness, you can have just some days where you're yeah, it's not the best. I don't have it all figured out today. Or today I'm really doubting myself. That is normal. And it's definitely my normal. And I think it's more people's normal than they say,
Yes, I like that. Normalize wobbliness. Are we putting that on a mug?
I mean, we could.
We might need
or
to put that on a mug. These moments are just a glimpse of what this season has meant to us and the stories that have shaped it. I hope you've enjoyed going along this journey of the first season with us. It's meant so much to us to be with you. Thank you for being a part of this space, for listening, for reflecting, for growing right alongside us. Thank you also for all the feedback and messages. I love the LinkedIn message I got from a college friend, Rebecca, who said, I loved your episode about being labeled bossy. I ended up sharing it with my COO. He needs to hear this today. Thank you for dear friends who texted me saying, I loved that episode on Romantasy or Karaoke, or I learned so much from all of your friends. Deep thanks to my friends who joined us this season. We'll be back soon with a brand new season of conversations to challenge, inspire, and expand what confidence means to you. Until then, I hope you keep showing up, trusting your voice, and remember, in the words of my 9-year-old self, I see you, I value you, and I believe in you. This is In Confidence. Well, I think I remember you telling me that you had town car service stop at a bookstore so you could get...
No, that was you.
Oh, that was me. Wait.
But I did. I know. I was in Portland, Oregon for another event and had just finished Fourth Wing and found a local bookstore that happened to have, yes, the next story. And you're the one that took car service. So.
I just thought it was you.
Transitive properties.